Carl, I think we're live for the first time in God knows how long. Bloody hell. I mean, whoever does LinkedIn Lives anymore? I don't know. Ever since Clubhouse has come about, I've been spending a lot of time. If you've not been on Clubhouse, you better get on there. It's literally ridiculous. I've learned so much for the business over the past few weeks just by speaking to famous people who have started companies and startups and scale-ups. It's actually a really powerful place to be. But this is, I think, the first LinkedIn Live we've done, I think, since I've been in this new place. So I'm now in Potts Point, and we've got a little whiteboard there and a desk there where we have all the chairmen and all the meetings around the table with the board members and customers and staff. And in fact, this Friday coming, if you're in Potts Point, knock on the door because I'm having a barbecue. There'll be about 50 people here, but we're going to have a bit of food. I've actually got a one-hat chef cooking, so he's going to be doing all the food. I'm not going to cook because even though I can, but I'm not. Anyway, today is a pretty exciting day for us because we've got a new partnership with a new charity. Obviously, the Starlight stuff's still going on, but we're expanding and we're growing. And in fact, we're growing so much, we've opened up into Singapore. I think Lexi might be watching, our ambassador in Singapore. We're opening up the UK, and we're opening up New Zealand, and it's really, really quite exciting what's going on. But today, I wanted to introduce a new charity that we're working with, and it's something, again, close to my heart, which is all around, supporting kids and seriously ill kids. And that, in fact, that's going to be the theme all around the world, that we get involved with charities that are supporting kids. So what we've created now with a charity called B Center is meetings with purpose. Now, I'm going to introduce Mark and Gayleen and Michelle and Anna from B Center to explain exactly what it's all about. But this is really quite a remarkable time and a bit of a call out. So the messaging here, the ask, so to speak, is that we want any executive who's seen what we've been doing. I think we've got currently around almost 700 senior business leaders that have given us their time. And of course, every single business meeting makes an impact. You can align that with your ESG strategy if you wanted to. So we're looking for executives to get involved and get inspired by what Mark and Gayleen and Michelle and Anna are going to talk about, because every business meeting can help some seriously ill kids. So without that, let me add Mark, let me add Gayleen, and let me add Michelle and Anna from B Center. Hey.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
How's your? What day is it? It's Wednesday, isn't it? I've got so lost because this Clubhouse thing. If you've not been on Clubhouse, honestly, Mark, it is the hottest thing that I've ever seen. Out of all the social media things that I've seen, this has to be the number. There's no texting, there's no images, it's just voice. It's a bit like democratizing radio, and you can find your tribe on there. So I'm interested in charities and purpose-led businesses. I'm interested in talking to entrepreneurs that have heart and have built businesses that have heart. And so I can find all of them and communicate with them right there on Clubhouse, which is just ridiculous. So I've met MBEs. We're both English. We're not on MBEs. It's a bit like an AM, I think, in Australia. But yeah, so I've met MBEs over there, and it's just really, really quite amazing. So who wants to kickstart? Who wants to tell us? I think, Michelle, maybe we should just go around the room and introduce yourself first, because I think that's probably the best thing to do, so everyone knows who B Center are. Mark, do you want to go first?
Start from the top right.
Yeah, you're muted. There we go.
Yeah, just take myself off mute. You never know when there's too much noise in the background, so do you? No, I'm off mute now. Are we okay?
I can hear you, yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's saying yes, but there you go. So
your Wi-Fi's a bit dodgy.
3 years ago, after a fairly long corporate career in technology and executive search, and I had some personal sort of associations with organizations. What? Okay.
You're frozen. You know that you're frozen like a block of ice.
Drop me off.
Maybe we'll come back to you. You sort your Wi-Fi out, and we'll come back to you. Michelle, do you want to keep maybe an overview?
Yeah, happy to kick start. Mark interjects every now and then. Oh, it looks like he's going to a different room. Hey, let me kick start then. First of all, Carl, thank you so much for hosting today. For introducing meetmagic and B Centre's initiative, which is Meet with Purpose. B Centre is I've been with B Centre for about coming up to 4 months now. I'm the CEO. And I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart, this is one of the most amazing special little organisations I've ever come across. We're doing incredible things. We've got a team of clinicians here that are helping young children between the ages of 3 and 12 overcome things in their lives that they're not able to process themselves. And the work we do at B Centre is really helping these little people, 3 to 12 years old, start to live their lives again. So we've been around since 2008. We're in Warriewood in the Northern Beaches. We've got a centre here. We're the only charity in Australia delivering play therapy only. And, you know, COVID has certainly been a tough time for us, but we look forward to this initiative with meetmagic to start to really, you know, bring in some sustainable revenue for us through executives really just having meetings, doing something that they do every week anyway.
Exactly.
Being able to do it with purpose. So it's pretty exciting.
So tell me about the play therapy thing. This was really something quite new to me. I didn't realise the impact that play therapy actually has on kids. Because we've obviously been working with Starlight, and they do a lot of happiness therapy, which is, you know, a kid going through lockdown and trauma in a hospital, get a dose of happiness, and happiness really does matter to them. Tell us about the play therapy and how that impacts them.
I think I'm going to sort of do a quick handball over to Anna as our clinical manager, because she's going to be able to say it much more eloquently than I can.
Okay, yeah. So play therapy is quite new in Australia. It's been around in the UK and the US for a very long time. It is a very gentle form of child counselling using the child's natural language of play. So we have specialised designed playrooms. We've got 6 of them here, which have a mixture of sand play, puppets, arts and craft, music, role play, anything a child needs to express themselves. And we create a safe space for them, usually a minimum of 12 sessions. They come to the same play therapy room at the same time on the same day with the same therapist. And that consistency helps them feel safe to process what's gone on in their lives. Children, unlike adults, their brains aren't developed yet to cognitively process what might have gone on in the past or what might be going on for them currently in their home life. And so their natural language is play. Play is so important, as we all know, for children's emotional and physical development. But it's also really important for them to make sense of the world and the experiences that they're facing. COVID and also the bushfires in Australia have really put the spotlight into the impact some traumatic experiences can have on a child's mental well health. And so our phone has been ringing non-stop really since COVID, with a real demand for children to be able to access therapeutic support, which is in their natural language, which is play. So children, when they come into the play therapy room, will usually start by just building rapport with us. You know, they've got to trust us in order to feel safe and feel a sense of permission to then use the room as they wish. We're very child-centered, so we never tell a child what to do. This is obviously one of our play therapy friends just making an appearance. We never tell a child what to do. So we're non-directive and we're child-centered. We're obviously always in charge of safety, but apart from that, the child really uses the room as they need to. They often go through an exploratory phase at the beginning where they're getting used to us, they're getting used to the room. They then might start to regress. So really start doing sort of quite early play. It might be messy play, it might be nurturing play with babies or dolls' houses. It could be just playing hide and seek or peekaboo. I mean, you know, we do get children who are quite traumatized, they're older, but they need a safe space to regress. They then often go into a stage where they're really getting empowered. So they're asserting their power and control, maybe through role play or through puppets or through sand play. And then the final stage of play therapy is often mastery, where they are really sort of getting to know who they are, their true self, their problem solving, they're directing us more as therapists, they're showing pride in their abilities. And that's normally when we know the child, has come to the end. The average number of sessions is about 16 to 18. Globally, the sweet point of play therapy is about 20 sessions. So it is a model one-to-one, which, you know, it's intensive, I think is the best way to describe it. But it really does work. There's a lot of evidence base for play therapy, primarily out of the UK and the US. It's much more common overseas than it is in Australia. I came from the school system in the UK, where most schools in the UK have a play therapist assigned alongside a school counsellor. Here we have a really big job to do to try and pioneer and promote play therapy as an age-appropriate form of counselling. And the referrals we have here range from children who've witnessed domestic violence, children who've been abused, children who are just suffering from generalised anxiety, children who've lost parents or siblings, children who have neurodiversity, so they've been, diagnosed with ASD, so autistic spectrum disorder, or ADHD, and they really just need to come somewhere where they're accepted for who they are and can sort of find self-regulation techniques and build their confidence and self-esteem. So it's a full range of children that we see at B Centre. No play therapy session is the same. Every child comes in and uses the room very differently. But what is common is that we accept them for who they are and we allow them to lead the play and really explore what they need to explore. So it's very gentle form of child counselling.
And it was a wonderful story a couple of weeks ago where a new client came in and had been to many, psychologists and psychiatrists previously, and walked in the door and said to Anna, "You're just unlike any of the other doctors I've seen before." And I think that really, they felt comfortable and they felt safe, and it is different.
And that's the road. That's the road to impact. When I think they do feel safe.
Yeah.
How do you know when it's come to the end of a cycle for them? When they've had 7, has that been measured, and you know that it's
So we take psychometric feedback from the parents, so strengths and difficulties before, midway and after, but it's really only one indication. We know when a child is ready to end play therapy. Sometimes it may simply be that they've built resilience to deal with their home life, which is really never going to change. But we work very closely with the parents or carers throughout. We provide parent support, which enhances the therapeutic process. But we usually come to a decision with the parent that when it's the right time to end. We can really tell with a child. It's usually when they're in that mastery phase and they're really showing pride in their abilities, their self-esteem is improved, that we can tell actually they've done with their process and they're ready to end. And then we give them 3 sessions where we count them down until the end of play therapy.
And that self-esteem thing is so big. I mean, that if they've got confidence in themselves, they can just go on to become an active part of society and get along with society, and even be included in that. That I think is probably one of the biggest things that I see with a lot of kids. When I came up with the idea of meetmagic, the magic side of the name was because we were trying to raise money for a charity called Feel the Magic, and they were a children's charity were fledgling, but they're trying to help kids deal with grief when they've lost a loved one or a sibling or a parent. And often the impact of them not dealing with that grief would mean that they would go on, there'd be drug problems, there'd be alcohol problems, there'd be depression problems, mental health issues. That's just from not dealing with that grief as a child. So you can imagine what you're doing here is you're really you're helping the long-term societal impact for
Absolutely. And the economic impact is not to be understated, as well as that social, societal impact, but the economic impact is just as, big.
And the funny thing with these meetings that we do, so what meetmagic does, we connect execs. So any exec that wants to get involved and support B Centre could literally just sit in front of their laptop and have a meeting, and that will support, did we say 7 kids, Galen?
So one meeting will give 7 children a play therapy session.
Which is, that's 7 kids. That's half a football team that are going to get access to play therapy, and that for me is a big thing. It's you start looking at this on a big scale now, and I know the Ethics Centre have just released a report that shows by having ethical meetings, and we consider our meetings really ethical because they're having an impact on society as part of an ESG program. Any company now could come to B Centre and say, we love what you're doing, we want to get involved, and we want to make B Centre our chosen charity. They could have all of their executives pledge 45 minutes to host a meeting, and those meetings will go to their ESG strategy and the reporting of that, which is more important. It's actually the impact and the measurement of that which we can help with. So all of a sudden, you're actually not just helping kids, you're helping a company achieve their objectives on their ESG strategy. And that is something that every impact investor is looking at right now. If they want to make an investment in a company and the company says, well, we care about kids, okay, prove it. Well, we've had 500 meetings and it's supported this many. Those 500 meetings have helped thousands of kids at B Centre that are now going to have a positive impact on society. Mark, I don't know if you've read this recently, but that B Centre report showed that having an ethical meeting would have a $45 billion impact on the GDP of this country. Now, it's huge. Just doing the right thing means the whole country benefits. More importantly, and this is the exciting part of any company that wants to get involved in supporting B Centre. More importantly, rather than the 45 billion on the GDP, it means that every employee that you have will have an extra $2,000 in their pocket each year. So it's actually good for the employees, and the report showed that employers that are doing this have a 7% increase on their revenues. So all of a sudden, you've got, by taking a meeting, it's going to help some kids, it's going to be good for the business, and it's going to be good for the employees and good for the country. It's really. And
I think, Carl, the survey that you'd taken showed that the feedback that you got from executives as to the value of the meeting was 4.5 out of 5 was the score, the average score or something, which is
It was. I think what's even more exciting is the fact that we've got this repledge thing happening. So every exec that comes along and does one, we ask them to do four over the year, which is 1 quarter. It's nothing, but they take them quicker than over the year, and then they come back and say, we'd like to do more. And there's like an 80% renewal rate for the execs. So it's just keep doing. And this is the whole point of meetmagic, Anna, is Michelle. It's to basically create a sustainable revenue model for charities like yourselves that don't necessarily have that big lump of cash coming in from the government or corporates. And it's just to make it easy for cash flow to come in. So, Galen, you're involved in tell us what you do at B Centre.
I'm the fundraising and development manager. So, I try to develop partnerships and run events and connect the community to what we're doing. I've been here for 9 years now and have watched B Centre grow phenomenally over that time. But the thing is, there's just a whole heap of kids out there who need help. And we just, my goal is to be able to get B Centre to be scalable to the point where we're actually even meeting part of that need, as Anna or test, our phones ring non-stop and the wait list grows, and we sadly, have to say no sometimes, which is heartbreaking because we don't have the capacity.
What's been the impact on your events and stuff? A big change.
Yeah, well, our we normally have a major, one major event per year, which is a gala dinner. So we've not been able to have that, which is, probably 20 to 25% of our income for the year. So we've had to be a bit clever around, adjusting our fundraising. But the other thing we've been able to do this year because of COVID and bushfires is we've scaled back probably our one-to-one at the centre, but we've been able to support children in the bushfire areas. So we got some funds to do some one-to-ones, and we're actually heading down there next week to run some sensory art workshops for the children and also support parents and adults in that area that are still a bit traumatised by the event. So we're doing some adult art therapy as well. So the workshops practically filled up within a day of being announced last week. So that's next weekend. So that's kind of, we were able to slip in and quickly adjust and do some things that we wouldn't normally have time to do, which has been great.
Well, I think it's really interesting about the bushfires and the impact that has on the kids. People forget about the drought. My daughter went to school. There was a lot of farm girls went to her school, and they would come traumatized to school because of the drought and because they had to put animals down. And I remember when the Meet Magic story was going. We had one charity at West, one executive at Westpac who wanted to take meetings to support Buyer Bail, and Buyer Bail. Every meeting that he did basically bought 11,000 liters of water, which would go to feed the animals, and the family would have a shower last. That for me was just like, why isn't everybody taking these meetings? It's just, kids are traumatized for God knows what, bushfires and people, even the kids are traumatized because the parents have lost their jobs now.
Yeah.
And the impact that has had on them is incredible.
Yeah. Well, when you talk to the locals, when you go down there, they just basically said that, people are still walking around pretty glassy-eyed and they haven't been able to build their houses, and there are people sleeping in tents still, and it's pretty devastating. But I don't know, recently we were reading a article last week, or a report last week, about how the incidence of domestic violence raises dramatically after natural disasters as well. So there's all these other things that it's not just the bushfires, it creates a lot of other social issues.
Yeah, exactly. And without
just the trauma and the stress.
Absolutely. And without being negative about this, I know, for example, a lot of that job keeper money was coming into the banks and going directly into the online gambling shops. And the online gambling shops revenues have increased 500%. Now, the impact of that, of course, is domestic violence and poverty at home, because someone's just spent money on gambling and they've not won anything. So, of course, it's mental health issues. Everything is attributed to it. So I look at what we're doing as a business, and when I see that in the UK, one business meeting can help 300 kids. When I see in Singapore, one business meeting can feed a family of 4 for a month. When I see in Australia, one business meeting can help 7 kids get play therapy. I just don't see why every company doesn't have a strategy around supporting their charities at the moment. Whichever charities they're supporting, this really becomes, COVID has literally changed the way we work. I think that's pretty clear, but it hasn't changed the way we meet. And I think that the problem here is that a lot of people have actually digitally replicated all the rubbish that they were doing offline, and so you've basically got 8 or 9 meetings, 5 of them. So we talk about taking just one of those meetings and turning it into an impact. And 7 kids going through some sort of trauma at the moment can get supported just through somebody having a cup of coffee together.
Yeah.
I always feel on that point, Carl, we've all had corporate lives where we've had dozens and dozens of meetings, And to actually be able to come out of a meeting feeling you've had that sort of impact is just huge. And that's why I got involved really right from the very start. A couple of years ago, I was looking for a charity that sort of meant something to me, and I've become so passionate about B Centre because you see the impact it's having short term on some of these kids who've had terrible troubles in their lives, and we all know it's going on in lots of different guises, and it can be very mild trauma, which has a really bad effect on these kids. And then the long term, which I've always thought through, society doesn't quite, half the time understand the impact long term, as we said before, economically on the country. If a kid gets behind at school, which often happens, as soon as they drop behind, then they start to have other problems, and they drop out of friend groups and everything else. So that's why I got behind B Centre, because it's just such a lovely way of getting kids back integrated in amongst their kids groups at school. And my excitement for meetmagic is, as I said, I've had a corporate life, and I've seen a lot of the vendors who want to organize meetings with people, and people having meetings all the time. You bring those two together, and the feel-good factor and the results of that is just tremendous. So I think it's fantastic. Yeah,
absolutely, Mark. And we tell everybody that these are not selling meetings. There's the connections, people to come together and have a conversation from the heart. And because of that, people are connecting better, and they're having better meetings. And because of the meetings, they're finding ways to do business together. So that's the impact, rather than some salesperson turning up and saying, have a look at my shiny widget. Do you want to buy my data lake? Have a look at my machine learning and AI. No one cares. Go away. But having a conversation about how did you get involved with the B Centre meetings for purpose? What's the experience? That opens up the heart. And all of a sudden you've got this altruistic based approach to meeting now, which is just a beautiful way to meet somebody. I grew up in a very poor part of Nottingham, and I left school at 15, left home at 16, and I wish B Centre was around when I was a kid, because God knows the trauma that I've experienced growing up. I can only imagine the benefit it would have had to me if I'd have dealt with all of that trauma early on. Literally, the whole meetmagic thing started. The journey for this charitable thing started, I think, when my daughter, she's 18 next month, so she would have been 12 or 13, and there was a suburb in Sydney called Claymore. It still is a suburb called Claymore, and it was built by the New South Wales government in, I think, 1975, and they put the poorest of the poor people there. And my daughter and I were watching this documentary called Growing Up Poor, and it showed that 1,500 kids under the age of 15 in a square mile were going to school hungry and had no hope, had no dream, had nothing for the future, because they watched their parents and their grandparents, living on the dole, selling drugs, being on alcohol, and just generally not doing anything with their lives. And so we went out there, and honestly, Mark, when I tell you, I felt like I just arrived home. There was mattresses on the street, there were boarded up windows, there was kids hanging around looking like they wanted to mug you. There was a food ration hall that was handing out food, and I'm thinking to myself, this is 50 miles away from my little bubble in the eastern suburbs. How the hell is this happening in Australia? So my daughter and I, we set up this thing called Kidspiration, where we raised some money off a few rich friends that we've got, and we said, give us a few $1,000s, and we put 4 coach loads on and brought 300 kids aged from years 3 to 6 to Bondi Beach. We got the Bondi lifeguards to do some games on the beach, and we sent them away some dreams and some hopes for the future, just on the hope that one of them would make a difference in their lives. I can't help but think that's exactly what you guys are doing.
I think, Carl, that's really important, that yes, we get the one-off types of traumas, but breaking that cycle of harm and trauma is really important in society.
But it's also putting your hand up to say, hey, we care. And by the way, you matter. Because if somebody would have come along to me back then and said, hey, don't worry about it. I know you've not had a very good start in life, but people actually over there who are successful actually do care about you having a go. So don't not have a go. Put your goals and dreams down and have a go. And if you need some help, we're here to support you. And that, I think just that alone really makes a big difference.
Definitely.
So what are we going to do? Have we set a goal for meetings with purpose for this year? Because I know what we did with Starlight last year was quite amazing, and I would love nothing more than to replicate that and have thousands of kids supported. Have we set our targets yet?
The sky's the limit, Carl. I mean, how many executives are out there?
190,000 to be precise.
100. Well, we'll take 185, thank you.
And we only want 10% of them, Michelle, because if we've got 10% of 100,000, well, that's 19,000. And if we have 10% of them taking a meeting once a month, well, that's 1,900 meetings. That's a lot of children getting supported.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And if we can't find 1,000 execs to take one meeting once a month, I think we probably should shoot ourselves in the head. I don't know. What do you think?
It's in everyone's hands. I mean, all these people having meetings anyway. We're just asking them to have a meeting a quarter, which is curated for them. So it's going to be a meeting which they're going to probably want to have, and it's going to be a meeting for purpose. And quite a lot of time you talk to people, we know people have fatigue in terms of giving money. That we're asking them to give some time, and if they know that one meeting is going to put 7 kids through some significant therapy. I mean, as I said, a lot of people also say, well, where's my money going to? Well, you can actually measure that. You can say, well, that meeting, that 45-minute meeting, is affecting the lives of seven kids and getting them through these sessions.
And that measurement is super important now. I can't explain how much it means now to have your company aligned to doing some good, and you can't just make it be a tick box, because if people find out, and if you've just got a strategy on your annual report and to tick the box to say you've done CSR, then it will come out, and it's just super clear. I mean, employees are looking for companies that are making an impact, and of course, employers want balance sheets that are making an impact. Well, doing some good like this really addresses both of those things. You know, if you want to make an impact on your revenue, do some good, and it will come back around, and that's just the way it is. So I'd love to get as many execs as we can on board. I'd like to try and find 1 or 2 corporate partners who just to basically be anchor. And maybe we can find some an anchor tenant, basically like an anchor corporate partner to support it. And maybe it's a children's toy company, a Mattel or something like that where we can get some toys coming into the center as well, maybe.
Yeah, and I think quite often executives will, time is always an issue for executives, but this is not taking up any more time because these meetings are happening anyway. And yet here is a meeting that's actually going to be curated, and they have a say in who they meet, and you come with a common purpose of meeting with purpose. So
yeah, I think the good thing to know is we've done, there's over 700 execs on side now, and not one of them have had anything negative to say about their experience. Yeah. And that's really exciting. The feedback is really quite amazing from both sides of the marketplace. And it's basically, what we've created is a club. So the execs get to talk to each other if they want to. So we know often a lot of execs want to share their ideas about what they want to do with somebody outside of the company, and they can meet one of their peers and have those conversations, which is really exciting. But I think the whole point of it, like I mentioned before, a lot of companies have digitally replicated meetings, which this year we've heard of new terms like zoomed out, digital fatigue. These terms, they weren't around last year, but they've come around because all companies have done is they've taken all of those 8 or 9 meetings that they have around the water cooler and they've put them into Zoom meetings. And they shouldn't have been. So there's 8 or 9 meetings that are happening every day when 4 or 5 of them could have been a phone call or an email. So all we're saying is swap one of those once a week, 45 minutes in front of your laptop, sit on your bum, and change the world. And that's, how easy would it be to make a difference? Yeah. All you're doing is sitting on your bum, looking at a screen, and 7 kids get supported.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have a chat.
All right, well, it's been 35 minutes. I think is there anything you'd like to tell the market that we haven't already said, or otherwise we're just going to go on and get as many execs as we can? I probably should tell them how they can sign up if they want to sign up and join us and make an impact. It's meetmagic.org where they can come on, and I think we've got a section on there where they can register themselves as an executive, and then you just click on that, answer a couple of questions, click Be Center, and that's it. And our team will be in touch, and they'll onboard the exec basically, and they don't have to do anything. They literally don't have to do anything. Our operations team will then put a calendar invite in their calendar, and they just turn up. It is that simple.
Well, the other thing, if an executive wants to know a little bit more about B Centre before signing up, come to the B Centre website, bcentre.org.au, and you'll also see a Meet with Purpose page there, and you can sign up there directly as well. So either way.
I think there's, for us, Michelle, when I think about these meetings and the impact, I imagine a world where every meeting has some form of outcome positive on society or the environment. And I can't see why every business meeting that happens all around the world doesn't have an outcome. Why aren't we asking the question, what charity are we supporting in this meeting? And just have that. And imagine a world where every business meeting plants 30 trees, or every business meeting helps 7 kids, or every business meeting feeds a family of 4 for a month. All of a sudden, we've created something where business meetings are actually starting to mean something really, really tangible now. And that's the world where I live. And I want to thank you guys for letting us be a part of your journey as well. And I'm really excited about where this is going to go. And we should go and find an Elon Musk or someone to champion us and give us a bit of a plug, because I think he's got a kid. I don't know how to pronounce the name, so I think it's used weird characters on his name. Have you seen that?
No.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, there's your mission for the day. Go and try and Elon Musk's child's name, because. But even Nick Molnar, the founder of Afterpay, supported us in the last campaign, because he just became a father and he understands the importance of what it's like to do something that supports our kids. So.
Yeah.
Well, his new CFO is about to sign up, so she's taking part too. So there we go.
Fantastic! Really?
Yeah.
That's excellent. That's sensational. Brilliant. Okay. Well, let's we'll record this. We'll send you some copies. We can put it all over social media, and we'll try and get as many execs as we can to sign up. I think we should set ourselves a target for 500 by the end of March.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Way to go, and congratulations on a great charity and supporting
Thank
kids.
you.
And all right, we'll end it there, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon,
Thanks,
guys.
Carl.
Bye.
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 Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.